Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to another videos for MRCS exam, and this is the question and answer solve session. Question answer solve provides a better environment for you to MRCS exam. So here the question, it is one of the long questions. So first of all, we have to read the question very carefully. And this type of present question are sometimes present in MRCS exam. Some of the questions are like this. So first of all, we have to read the question very carefully and pick up the important points to answer the question. So here, a term neonate is born by emergency cesarean section, the final stages of the pregnancy, having been complicated by polyhydramnios. Feeding result in vomiting and imaging is performed, which demonstrates extrinsic compression of the second part of the duodenum. What is the most likely embryological origin of the structure that is causing the compression? Here are the options. The options are the dorsal pancreas, the hepatic diverticulum, the vitalointestinal duct, Latz band, and ventral pancreas. So, answering the question, first of all, we have to find out the key points here. So here we can see the term neonate born by the CS section due to some of the complications and feeding result vomiting and imaging show the extrinsic compression, that means external compression of the second part of the duodenum. So we have to find out the extrinsic or external structure which is responsible for this compression. So here for this we have to know the development procedure of the duodenum and pancreas. So here we can see the stomach ends into duodenum. Here in the second, third and fourth picture, in the wall picture we can see the stomach. It continues as a duodenum. Here the first part of the duodenum, and this is the second part of the duodenum. Here we can see this is the second part of the duodenum. The vertical part is the second part of the duodenum, and somewhat horizontal it is the first part of the duodenum. So here we can see the development around the second part of the duodenum. Here the dorsal pancreatic bud, and here the ventral pancreatic bud. So from the ventral pancreatic bud we can see the other structure present. This is the hepatic bud, and from the hepatic bud or liver bud there are here the liver, bile duct, gallbladder, and with them ventral pancreatic bud. That means the pancreas developed from the ventral pancreatic bud and dorsal pancreatic bud. Ventral pancreatic bud, it lies ventrally, that means anteriorly of the duodenum. On the other hand, dorsal pancreatic bud, it lies the posterior part of the duodenum. So these two pancreatic buds have to be united. For this we can see here the ventral pancreatic bud, it start rotation behind the posterior part of the duodenum. So here we can see this is the ventral pancreas. The ventral pancreas starts its rotation along the posterior surface or posterior part of the duodenum, and finally here we can see this here it reaches to the dorsal pancreatic bud, and finally it's fused with the dorsal pancreatic bud. And for this, the ventral pancreatic bud along with other buds such as the liver bud, here the bile duct and gallbladder, they also rotated with the ventral pancreatic bud and reaches up to the dorsal pancreatic bud. In the fourth picture we can see the duct of these both pancreatic bud, they are united and they form the a common area, and they finally attach to the common bile duct and open into ampulla of the bladder. So it is the normal procedure. Ventral pancreatic bud and dorsal pancreatic bud. Ventral pancreatic bud starts its rotation, or it is traveling behind the second part of the duodenum, not the anterior. It is behind or posterior to the second part of the duodenum, and finally reaches to the dorsal pancreas and attached with the dorsal pancreas along with the other ducts such as the common hepatic duct, and finally opening to the second part of the duodenum in the major duodenal papilla, and opening is ampulla of bladder. But here in this picture here we can see the malrotation. Here in the first picture this is the dorsal pancreatic bud, and here the ventral pancreatic bud, and here also the gallbladder and liver and common bile duct here. So in the second picture we can see the part of the ventral pancreatic bud. It rotates in the opposite direction, that means anterior to the duodenal wall. So if the rotation continues, then we can see here the part of the ventral pancreatic bud. It lies anterior to the duodenum and finally reaches to the dorsal pancreatic bud and causes compression with this part. Here we can see it causes compression of the this part of the duodenum. So in this picture also we can see here, this is the dorsal pancreatic bud and here the ventral pancreatic bud. So ventral pancreatic bud is that rotation to the anterior to the duodenum. So this part is very important. One part going posterior to the duodenum, this is correct, this is the correct way. But when the one part of the ventral pancreatic bud, it rotates anterior to the duodenum and it reaches to the dorsal pancreatic bud, here it causes compression of the second part of the duodenum, and here we can see it causes compression, and here this is the normal diameter of a duodenum, but when the compression occur, the duodenal diameter become gradually, that means it is narrower. So through this narrower part, it is very difficult to pass the food material, so it causes precipitate vomiting, and finally vomiting occur and no food enters into the jejunum or ileum. So it is a severe condition and it should be corrected. So again, this is very important and the clear conception is very necessary to answer the question. Here we can see this is the dorsal pancreatic bud and here the ventral pancreatic bud. Ventral pancreatic bud usually rotates posterior to the duodenum. Here the arrow marks here, the posterior to the duodenum, but in this picture we can see one part is going posterior to the duodenum. This is correct, this is the correct way, but one part is passing anterior to the duodenum, and the anterior passing part of the ventral pancreatic bud, it causes compression of the second part of the duodenum and it causes narrowing of the duodenum, and it is responsible for vomiting and intestinal obstruction. So our final answer, it causes by the ventral pancreas, because the ventral pancreas, it rotates in the opposite direction or malrotation occurs. So the ventral pancreatic bud, it causes compression outside the duodenal wall or outside the second part of the duodenum, and it causes the vomiting of the individuals. So from the ventral pancreas, not dorsal pancreas. Other option, dorsal pancreas, it is not true. The hepatic diverticulum has no role, it not lies close to the second part of the duodenum and it has no role to compression. Then vitalointestinal tract, it lies more laterally in the small intestine, and large vein, they are also not true. So our final answer, the ventral pancreas, and this ventral pancreas causes the external compression of the second part of the duodenum. Thank you all.